Welcome to Tunneling Today with UCA. This is the podcast where we dig deep into the technical and personal stories of professionals driving progress, one tunnel at a time. Whether you're in the field or somewhere underground, this is where we shine a light on what's happening below our feet.
UCA is more than an organization. It's a hub for technical knowledge, career growth, and professional development with professionals worldwide. Welcome to Tunneling Today with UCA, where we uncover stories, innovations, and trailblazers driving the industry today. My name is Botlhe Masedi, and I'm your host for episode 3, where we'll be featuring 3 young professionals with UCA who will share their experiences and what UCA has helped them with so far. Please welcome Tori, Everett, and Andrew. How are you guys doing today?
Okay.
Doing good. If you guys just wouldn't mind giving a quick introduction about who you are, the company you work for, that sort of stuff. We'll start with you, Tori.
Thank you. My name's Tori Encapera. I am a geotechnical engineer with Black & Veatch. I've been working in the tunnels and dams heavy civil circuit for about 6 years now. Been involved with UCA for about 4 now. And really enjoy underground work.
Perfect. And what about you, Everett?
So my name is Everett Litton. I'm a vice president with WSP and currently sit on the executive committee for UCA and very passionate about trying to give back to students and young professionals as part of this industry.
My name is Andrew Chegwidden. I work with Keller North America, the groundwater control group. Been with them for about 9 years now. So I pretty much manage as a project manager, ground freezing and dewatering projects all around the country, North America. UCA I kind of got involved with as an advisory board member this past year with Tori reached out to me and just interested in helping connect more young folks to the organization here. So
That's awesome. Okay, so we like to start off with a little sneak peek, like a little icebreaker here into your lives. So the question for you guys is, what is the last song that you listened to?
The last song that I listened to was probably Dissolve by Still Woozy.
Oh.
So on the drive down to Dallas, I stopped in Kansas City for a wedding and went to a piano bar. And so the last song I listened to is Your Song by Elton John.
it's a good one. And for maybe Hotel California by the Eagles.
Oh, I like that one. And mine was Ben's One by Friday. Hey, so each of you guys are here representing a different group in UCA. Maybe some of you guys are representing the same group in UCA. Do you mind just sharing a little bit about what that group is? We can start with Andrew.
Yeah, so the UCA young members, right? It's generally speaking an outreach group to younger professionals who may be looking to kind of get their feet wet and see what UCA is all about. Conferences like this can kind of be intimidating for younger folks to kind of break into. And, oftentimes you feel like you're the youngest person in the room. You're like, oh my gosh, look at all these people. They're all friendly. And, just nice to know there's other younger folks out there who are looking to do the same thing you are and have the same interests.
And I'm here today representing Down for That, which is UCA's student initiative outreach to sort of broaden the pipeline of talent coming into our particular network, both on the K through 12 outreach side of things and then the university outreach side of things. So we're always interested in trying to get students out on site to construction sites as much as we can. We like to go to their universities, provide lectures, and ultimately try to get them to places like this conference and into this industry, as I believe it's a rewarding industry for young professionals.
And Tori, you and Andrew are with the same organization, right?
Yep. Yeah, we're both with UCA young members. And as Andrew had said, it is an interest group looking to try and capture folks who are anywhere from in school to fresh out of school to maybe new to the industry, but still considered young and don't totally know where their network is, and trying to help bring them in and show them who else is kind of in their peer group and how to help them find their way.
That's amazing. And I guess I'm also representing a group here, which is Women in Tunneling. And we're just more so looking for ways to increase participation from women that are maybe interested in joining the industry or that are in the industry but looking for connection. So very similar to that. Yeah, I've been asking a lot of people about how their journey to the industry has been, what led them here. And it's been interesting to see like each one has a unique journey. And I just wanted to know what it is that led you guys to the tunneling field and what made you stay in underground. We can start with you, Tori.
I had originally been on the mining track. When I was in undergrad, I had a couple internships with an aggregates company, and really enjoyed the work. But started out working in the mine, and then progressively, as I kept going back, started moving further and further from the field, and kind of got to the point where I thought I wanted to break the rock, not sell it. So started considering graduate school. Fortunately, around that same time, I was in my senior design class in Missouri S&T, which was essentially a tunnel bid takeoff project. And so my professor at the time somehow got his hands on contract documents from a project in the area. And we got to break out into different teams to essentially read the drawing specs, GBR, and try and come up with a tunnel estimate. Got exposed to tunneling through that way, geotechnical baseline reports, and just thought this is really cool. And so I stayed on for my master's, was really lucky to get an internship in tunneling, and then kind of never looked back.
That's amazing. What about you, Everett?
Yeah, so I grew up on some property, sort of a farm in southern Missouri, and I basically enjoyed playing outside, building things. I was relatively smart in school. And then I started working construction quite a bit, commercial construction. I really enjoyed what I learned from electricians, from carpenters, floor layers, different trades type people. But I sort of wanted to do a little bit more than that. So I went to school and eventually got an internship doing some tunnel design type work, and haven't really looked back since then. But I think those early formative years of trying to, build things with my hands in nature, and then trying to, sort of make a difference in the world and making sure what we do is very sustainable. And particularly I enjoy tunneling because it's one of the few fields that's not as code driven. And I feel like there's more flexibility in what we do, and also an amazing community of professionals like I'm sitting with here today.
I'm not all that different from you where, growing up, I worked with the contractor, more residential style than commercial, but I worked with a tree removal company. So always outside, always enjoying the outdoors and working with my hands. And funny enough, I kind of took an internship, not really knowing what, at the time, War Trench, but now Keller did as a company. It was all of 5 minutes from my house. I was excited, easy commute. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then, I really got involved. I met the people at where I work and really got immersed in some ground freezing projects, which are usually auxiliary to tunneling. So once I saw that, it was just eye-opening to a whole new world I had never really been exposed to before. So never really looked back from there.
That's amazing. I think mine's probably a little bit different. I didn't even know I wanted to do engineering to begin with. I was going to be a doctor, regardless of the fact that I was scared of blood and all that kind of stuff. And then like back home, which is Botswana, they do things a little different. So you get like 3 choices and they just select you for one. And I remember the day I was applying, I called around a couple of my friends and family, like, what should I put down as a third option? And they said mining engineering. And I was like, sure, well, why not? And then that ended up becoming my whole path, So right off of college, I went to S&T too. So right off of college, right before college, I interviewed with Chegwidden, and that's how I got roped into the tunneling field. So I always love hearing the stories of how people, came to be in this industry. And then for the organizations that you guys are in right now with UCA, how did you guys get involved? How did you find out about them? And then how does one also get connected to join them?
So Down for That, which, I'm very passionate about, actually was started by a gentleman that Andrew works with, Paul Schmall. And I think it was really just a part of his passion and trying to give back to the next generation of people that come into this industry. So, people like Paul, other mentors along the way had helped guide me. Honestly, a lot of the resources that RETC and UCA presents, like the conference proceedings and stuff like that, I used in some of those early internships and formative years of my early career. And so it just kind of led me down the path of, I guess, respect for the organization and trying to look beyond your current employer and try to work together amongst competitors, and want to just try to help build the project and move it forward, which I think is the right attitude for young professionals in particular. So yeah, that's what helped shape me. But I think, particularly mentors and an organization like this that kind of embraces many different people, cultures, sort of coming together and working towards one sort of goal.
That's amazing.
Paul's kind of the one who got me involved too. I've been fortunate enough. I only sit a few desks down from him back in Rockaway, working for Keller. So he's the one who kind of introduced me to Tori. In the past, I was able to present at NAT and RATC the past 2 years. So he's like, hey, this is a really good idea. It seems like you like this, why don't you get involved a little bit more? So fortunate enough, he made the introduction to Tori, and yeah.
I see. So Tori was in the organization before you, Andrew?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And what was your experience, Tori?
I became involved with UCA back in 2021. One of my previous supervisors, Ashwati Sivram at Black and Beach, had been involved with UCA young members and some of the other initiatives. And fortunately or unfortunately, you age out of young members. I think once you become 36, you're no longer young.
Yeah.
And so she's always been very future oriented and wanted to keep having someone involved. And so she brought me in to start attending some of the calls, and it always has been previously a little bit of a smaller group. So started out, I was on a field assignment, like a geotechnical investigation. So I'd call in and just kind of listen, kind of observe. And then we gradually that was also during kind of, I guess, the height of COVID of sorts. So there wasn't much to do except have Zoom phone calls and things like that. So once things kind of eased up, I got to go to my first conference, the NAT conference in Philly, and got to meet everyone for the first time. And I kind of got to see like what a lot of the conference experience is and why people want to attend. And that kind of helped keep me wanting to stay involved.
That's amazing. I know for me with Women in Tunneling, I got pulled in by Lizanne Gilbert, who also works for Chegwidden. And that was, I think, December of 2023. She just needed some help with graphics. So that's what I started out with, and that's all I thought I was going to be doing. But it turned out there was this whole community of women that are just like awesome. And I never would have known if I had not joined the organization. Because when I was first starting out and coming to the conferences, like you guys had touched on, it was very intimidating when you're just fresh out of college. You don't know anybody, you don't have connections, and all these people are like very close, and you also don't want to, like squeeze yourself into conversations. But for me, Women in Tunneling has helped me a lot. Not just personally, but even just professionally. I'm more confident now, even to just speak up, to participate in other things. And that's just through the network that I've built with them. And one thing that we do too, just to kind of build that, those relationships, we do annual tunnel tours. And that's where most of the ladies meet up, and we just have these really good conversations. We learn some technical stuff, but we also get to bond over more intimate conversations as compared to the conferences, So I've really appreciated that. For your organizations, do you guys meet regularly? I know some of you were talking about the meetings.
Throughout the year, it's generally, it's difficult because it's a bit large country and people are generally pretty spread out. So I'd say, the majority of the work is done not so much at these conferences. It's really kind of behind the scenes at individual meetings, at least for Down for That. It's at individual universities when we can arrange tunnel tours. Obviously, we like to help participate and interact with those students at those. But it's really largely outside of these conferences, which, makes it somewhat challenging on occasion. But, I think these conferences are a really phenomenal way of bringing everyone back together, sort of refocusing on what you enjoy, and just helping you re-energize to persevere for the next year.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Sometimes it's challenging, right? You got people spread out all over the country working different jobs, different schedules, and it's meet once a month, pretty much, I'd say, for the most part. We call in on Teams, and, it's hard, right? Because sometimes, hey, you're in the middle of something, you're calling in, you're just listening. Some meetings are a little more actively participating, and then, but I think it's also, it's a challenge. It's a really cool thing because you've got so many diverse perspectives on different jobs you've worked at around the country, right? I mean, it's not the same ground everywhere you go. So I think that's one of the cool things about getting together as a group. And then when you come to these conferences, it's like, oh, hey, finally get to put a face to the name and shake hands and, all that good stuff. So definitely helps a lot.
That's something that I appreciate too about the industry is we're very close knit. Like it's a small community. And even if we move to different companies, we're all still, the goal is to push people to stay in the industry regardless of the company they're in. So you were talking about it doesn't matter if you're a competitor or you're working for another team. The goal is to make sure that we are just growing together to,
Yeah, absolutely. And all these different avenues of connection are, just really healthy and really strong for the long haul. And, oftentimes people move around, people become your clients become your peers. You really start to see people grow. And it's really fun and exciting. I've enjoyed seeing quite a few different people take the reins in different avenues of UCA. And usually they end up thriving and doing amazing things.
That's amazing. So shifting gears just a little bit, I'm more so curious. I'm sure you guys are well established in your different organizations. Is there anything that you attribute to that success? Like any character building moment that you have had that you're just like, okay, this is something that I want to share with everybody. Like this has helped me a lot get to where I am right now.
It's very hard to know those sorts of details when you're starting off your career, and I think it's very normal for people to struggle with that, to be honest. But I think eventually, I think a lot of people, especially more senior professionals in our industry, I think the sort of becoming less selfish, I think really helps you focus yourself on the goals you want to achieve, be them personal, professional, or helping out organizations like this move things forward for students and young professionals and women. I think is kind of really one of the biggest things is, and lots of things help you with that. Having kids helps you be less selfish and things like that. But generally, I think as people mature, that's sort of a trend that I see that a lot of the really good leaders in this organization have and continue to show.
For me, it was kind of be willing to take a chance and move around. I mean, it's not every day somebody's building a tunnel in your backyard. So, it's kind of a personal sacrifice in a way. But the more you kind of take the opportunity and kind of take the leap of faith to move around and go see a job here or go work on a job on, maybe the opposite coast of where you live, it's intimidating, but rewarding at the same time because, again, it's so different no matter where you work in different cities, regions, areas. And I've benefited a lot from that, just going to work in different states and different cities, locales, different types of projects. It's been very rewarding that way for me.
I would agree with that, Andrew. I would say for me, it's been two things. One, trying to find like senior staff that I could ask questions and I could trust that they would advise me if I had a tough field assignment or something pop up. I could call them up and get some reassurance or just like a gut check on if what I thought I was doing was fine or not. But then also because of that, I think being able to take on some challenging projects or some difficult field assignments that really were hard at the time, but definitely shaped my judgment and made me a lot better of a person, I think. And gave me a lot more perspective about like the different roles that all of us have. You can be on the same job site as someone else with a totally different role, and we're looking at the same project through different perspective, but the only way you figure out how to communicate with them is by going through it together. But you don't get that great perspective until after you've learned the lesson. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I'd say mine too, just touching on what both of you guys said, just the opportunities that come up and you just are willing to take those opportunities. I feel like my whole life is a testament of that because when I was graduating high school, I told myself, like, I just want to be close to my family. I even contemplated going to college because I was just like, I just want to be close with my family. And lo and behold, here I am, miles away from them, pursuing an industry that I didn't even know I wanted to be in. So just always being willing to say yes to things, always being willing to meet new people, because that's very important for growing your network, and also being on the lookout for younger people who are very interested but are shy, and helping them come out of their shell and just growing together, honestly. So in closing, is there like any final advice, any final words you guys want to share with people? Where can people get connected? Who do they talk to? Which website should they look at to sign up for these activities?
So Down for That's very evident on undergroundcareers.org. And then you're welcome to get in touch with probably any of us to get further connected with any of these. But I think really the organization as a whole work best with, partnering and building up these sort of diverse groups. And then you'll see a new class of leaders, which we're already seeing in this industry emerge. And I think it'll be even more fruitful as time goes on. That we all need help, we all need volunteers, but don't feel compelled to, pick one or two, pick a bunch, and then find out what you enjoy is what I would recommend.
I would agree. I would say from the UCA Young Members perspective, can always email one of us. But if you're looking for a good way to maybe get routed to some of the different organizations, we do have the UCA volunteer portal. So if you're wanting to learn more about, it could be working groups, could be women in tunneling, young members, other initiatives, you can reach out to the UCA portal and you can get directed and connected to the different chairs and leads for those groups and kind of start your path from there.
Perfect. And for Women in Tunneling too, we have a LinkedIn page that's a little bit active now, so that's good. So if you're interested in Women in Tunneling, that's probably the best place to go to. And we're now doing features too for women in the industry, just to kind of highlight the people that we have working in the industry. So definitely check out the LinkedIn page for that one. All right. It was great having you guys on the show. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it.
You've been listening to Tunneling Today with UCA, where the stories are deep and the insights are deeper. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss a beat from the world of underground construction.